If you would like to support us, it's simple. When making your purchases, use the affiliate links in the description. Your support allows us to continue producing quality content. Thank you very much for every gesture of support.
We must understand this, engineering means essentially to make things happen the way we want it. That's engineering, isn't it? To engineer this building means what? We want it the way we want it. We could have sat under a tree, but we choose to build this building because we want to sit under something engineered the way we want it, as suitable for us. We air conditioned the place because we want the temperature in a certain way. All this we did, but is it not important that you engineer this the way you want it? Hello? Outside is air conditioned, inside is boiling, what's the point? I'm saying power is being wasted on you. In the last 150 years, with the advent of science and technology, we have more comforts and conveniences than any generation ever could imagine, isn't it? Yes or no? You have more comforts and conveniences than any generation could ever imagine. We are the most comfortable generation ever, physically, materially. But can you say, are you the most peaceful generation? Joyful? Loving? No. Or can you even say you're the most intelligent generation? That'll be a wrong thing to say. Anybody who claims he is intelligent amounts to foolishness, isn't it? Because the significance of intelligence is, it shows you how many loopholes are there in your intelligence. Only a fool thinks there are no loopholes. A truly intelligent person always sees how many loopholes in my intelligence. The significance of being in a technological institute is not about just getting qualified to get some job somewhere or a passport out of the country. It should become a way of creating life, making life happen better than the way it's happening right now, because this is a fundamental responsibility that we have as a generation of people, because we occupy this space on the planet for a short, brief time. When the last generation gave this planet to us, whichever way they gave it, it's our business that when we leave it little better than the way we had it. Very important. How better? In what way better? You can decide that. I won't say only ecologically better, but in every way better. It must be better than the way we got it. This means we have to engineer ourselves to fit in such a way. See, a well-engineered machine means least amount of friction, isn't it so? Yes? A well-engineered machine means what? Least amount of friction. Heavy friction means badly engineered, isn't it? Isn't that the understanding? So the fundamentals of yoga is this. The fundamentals of yoga is in the geometry of physical existence. If you understand the geometry of what this human mechanism is, the body is, the psychological structure is, the chemical processes are, the energy structures are, if you understand the geometry of this and become capable of observing the cosmic geometry, if these two things are well aligned, suddenly your life hits off like a magic. Your life is no more a miserable drag, but it's magical simply because you have gotten the right geometry of things. Anything that is geometrically perfect will function absolutely smoothly and for a very long time. This is something that you must do to yourself when you're young. It doesn't matter what you want to do in your life, one thing must happen. Your body and your brain should not come in your way. They must work for you. Yes or no? Hello? Never your body and your mind should not come in the way of who you want to be. Right now for most people, they themselves are a big issue. When you are an issue, how will you address the issues in the world? If you really want to address the issues in the world, this one should never be an issue, isn't it? I am not the issue here, I am never the problem. If there are problems, I will deal with it, but I am never the problem. This must happen to you, isn't it? Please make yourself like this, that you are never the problem, you're always a part of the solution, never a part of the problem. Right now, right now we have developed a certain attitude in the country, a whole lot of people, for every solution they invent a problem. For every solution they have found a problem. So there are people who are working for problems, there are people who are working for solutions. Young people should stand up and become a solution for future generations to come and your own life to blossom. Because the greatest fulfillment in one's life is that you function in such a way that you could do something which is much larger than yourself. This must happen. This is the highest fulfillment of activity, that you are able to do something which is larger than yourself. Only then you will see fulfillment in activity. Activity is one thing, but most important thing is how you are. People come to me like, right now you're all saying your IIT is the problem, so I'm inviting you to IYC, Isha Yoga Center. Lot of people come to me and say, Sadhguru, these are people who passed out, okay? Sadhguru, my mother-in-law, she's another, you know, from somewhere else she is. I just don't know how to live with this person. And my husband, after all, her son. My wife, impossible. My boss, he's not even human. Like this it goes on. Then I tell them, see, don't worry. Your husband, wife, mother-in-law, boss, nobody will come here, you're protected. Like IIT. Your IYC also well protected. Nobody will come here, you just come and stay. I'll give you a nice place to stay, food is good. You don't have to do anything, just be joyful, that's all. None of these tormentors are there. Just be joyful. 24 hours you leave them in the one room, you must see in how many ways they twist themselves out. When you're alone, if you're miserable, you're obviously in bad company, isn't it? So all the young people should do this to yourself. At least for 3 days, 1 week, I will provide you the atmosphere, otherwise you can walk into the Himalayas. But there is no food and supply, you know, you will have to go searching. I will provide you food, everything. Just come, spend some time, not with any purpose, simply. If you sit alone for 3 days, no television, no book, no texting, simply by yourself, let's see what happens. You must know the nature of who you are. You should not go on dodging yourself and one day you will explode into something. You must know what is the level of madness you're suffering. When I say madness, if your mind is out of your control, is that called madness in definition? Hello? If your mind does not take instructions from you, it's out of control, is that called madness? Just try. Just today after this event, just go sit quietly in your room. Just see what all your mind does. You decide, don't tell anybody. You decide what is the level of madness you're going through. With this, if you enter the world, what will you create? you will only create who you are, isn't it? You cannot do anything other than what you are. What you are is what will happen to the world around you. Before you step out into the world, is it not important at least you're this much equipped that you are not the problem? If you meet a problem and get married, we'll see. But you are not the problem. Can you make this happen for yourself as young people, that you are never the problem? You are not the issue in your life. Other issues, if they come, we will deal with it to the best of our ability, but this should not be an issue, isn't it? This can be easily done, very simple processes. If you invest on 20-30 minutes a day, you can bring this possibility into your life. It is just that it needs a certain orientation, because life is continuously outward. To turn inward, it needs a certain help and situation has to be created to make that happen. We are very much willing to do that with you. It's my wish and my blessing, this must happen to every youth of this country, because India, the people of India has suffered immensely. I don't know to what extent all of you are exposed, many of you are from good families. I have walked through rural societies right from my, early youth. It's not good, believe me. It's just not good, it's not some idyllic situation out there. It is bad. It's very bad in most parts of the world. Where we are, they say they are the better off states. The better off states are like that. I know the Bimarus, how they are. We can't just live like this. We can't just continue to live like this, insulating our humanity and thinking everything is okay. It's time we have a living humanity, that our heart beats for everything, our heart bleeds for everything, and we will do the best we can do. In our lives, if we do not do what we cannot do, there's no problem. But if we do not do what we can do, we are a disastrous life, isn't it? It's my wish and my blessing, you should not be that disaster.
These are not your loved ones, these are your extra limbs. You're not able to stand on 2 legs, so you need 4 or 8 or 12, I don't know how many. These are extra limbs. And when limbs are not well coordinated, they tangle up, There are 4 or 5 brains, 4 or 5 power centers in the home. And for it to be well coordinated, certain things have to be done. One way of doing it is with an enormous level of connectedness, not emotional. Emotional connectedness just brings dependency. Emotion is something to be enjoyed. It is the juice of life. You don't make your emotions work. You should not make them work. You can make your thought work, you can make your body work. Don't try to make your emotions work. Whenever you try to make your emotions work for you, your situations turn nasty, isn't it? Yes or no? Initially, I loved your works. After some time, you're trying to make emotions work for you. The harder you try to make it work, the nastier your life gets. Because emotion is not for work. Emotion is just to sweeten your life. Your thought and your body should work. Emotions, just there. It's like a flower that you wear in your hair. Nobody wears anymore. Okay. You don't make these flowers work. The microphone works. Something else works. The flowers need not work, they're just there. That's all. Emotion is like that. It's just there, pleasant and wonderful. If you try to make it work, if you try to extract some life from around you with your emotions, it is bound to turn ugly. So if you don't have a working brain, if you're not capable of thought, then you try to use your emotion to make it work. And it may work sometimes, that's the whole problem. It works initially and then you try to push it further, then your life turns so nasty, so horribly nasty. Among people who are supposed to care for each other, the nastiest situation happen not among enemies, but among the so-called loved ones. You agree with me or no? Am I being too harsh on you? No. Yes or no? So, people have their opinions. If you love somebody, you should have no opinion. That's what love means. Love means you're willing to nurture another life without forming opinions. That's what love means. We are loved ones, we have strong opinions about each other. No, that means you're trying to fix life. An opinion is a way of fixing a person into a straitjacket. Love means nurturing a person into a new possibility. These two things cannot go together. No way they can be together. You make some judgments for the moment to nurture it better. You're rearing children at home, you have to make some judgments where the child is right now, to rear them to a next possibility, not form an opinion on him. The moment you form an opinion, you have no interest in nurturing that life into a new possibility. You only want to fix it in a shell of your opinion. And you will be disappointed if it doesn't go by your opinion. No, that's not the way it works. If you want to live closely with people, it should be a relationship of nurture, not opinionated. It will not work like that. Fundamental mechanics are wrong. So how will it work? By accident, because of the newness of the situation, because it's honeymoon time. It may work for some time, but after that it will not work. So, if truly it's a loving relationship, there should be no opinions, there should be only nurture.
Sadhguru, what are your views on adultery? How does it affect one spiritually?
If there is no love in your heart, you are anyway an adulteress. For convenience and comfort, if you have given yourself to any aspect of life, not necessarily a man or a woman for that matter, without love in your heart, if you have given yourself to any aspect of life, you are an adulterer, isn't it? So am I against adultery? Yes, in that sense, yes, with every aspect. But if you're talking about what is considered socially as adultery, it is individual.
Yes, please.
My name is Anand. My question is about marriage, divorce. I am married.
No, they're two different things, huh?
Marriage. What I see today is many youngsters, like many of them they don't want to marry, and few of them who marry, there are occasions where they are getting divorced. So, would you like to throw some light on this situation, Sadhguru?
See, you need to understand the institution of marriage. It's about bringing a certain sanctity to the simple basic needs that every human being has. There are physical needs, there are psychological needs, there are economic needs, emotional needs, social needs, variety of needs. To fulfill all these things, we set up an institution called marriage where all this can be conducted in a sensible manner. Otherwise, if we did it on the streets like every other creature, it would turn ugly for us and we will feel not good about it. So to bring some sense of organization, some aesthetic, some stability, because man and woman coming together naturally brought fresh life. It is, compared to any other creature, it is the most helpless life, which needs maximum amount of support. You could leave a puppy on the street, as long as he gets food, he grows up into a good dog. no problem. But not so with the human being. He doesn't need just physical support, he needs variety of support and above all, a stable situation. Whether there should be marriage in society or not, one will debate when they are 18 because physical body is asking for freedom, all right? At that time, everybody questions, is marriage really needed? Why can't we just live whichever way we want? But when you are 3 years of age, you valued marriage immensely, a stable marriage immensely, isn't it so? Yes or no? Yes. Again, when you become 45, 50, you're 100% for marriage. Between 18 and 35, you're questioning the whole process, okay? Because where the physical body is dominant, at that time, if you give in to that, then it will question every institution. This is hormone-fired freedom, okay? Your intelligence has been hijacked by hormones, so you question the fundamentals of everything. I am not saying marriage is the thing, but do you have a better alternative? If you have a better alternative, damn the marriage. But you have not come up with a better alternative because a stable situation is a must. For a child, once you have a child, it's a 20-year project. Your whims and fancies will change, your emotions will change. If that is what it is, don't get into such situations. It's not compulsory for everybody to get married. It's good, young people, you're saying people are thinking whether to get married or not, I'm glad. It is not necessary for everybody. But if you get into it and especially if you get into children, you must understand it's a minimum 20-year project, whether you like it or you don't like it. Otherwise, you shouldn't get into those projects. You don't walk into your project, drop it halfway and walk away, isn't it? It's your choice, but at least choose consciously. You don't have to get married because everybody is getting married. You don't have to talk about marriage and divorce in same breath as if they come together. This is a completely an American idea, you're thinking of marriage and divorce together. Nobody thought of divorce in this country till recently, isn't it? So, if it happens, if something happens, something truly went wrong between two people and they have to separate, that will anyway inevitably happen. You don't have to plan it at the time of wedding. Why should you ever talk about marriage and divorce in one breath? It's a crime.
He said, it's better to walk alone than to walk with a fool. If you want, consciously you can evolve in this evening. There is no limit as to how a human being can become. This is something that every human being must do. Then coming together will be hugely rewarding. When Gautama, the Buddha, was asked, is it better to walk alone or in company? He said, it's better to walk alone than to walk with a fool. Well, that's him, not me. He was quite sure that only a fool will walk with you. So he said, it's better to walk alone than to walk with a fool. Certain lore in this country says, when you want to do a short and quick journey, walk alone. When you want to do a long journey, walk in company. But the important thing is, who is walking with you? Not always being together is a good thing. Many times, being together can be a nuisance. So, first and foremost, unless you are a twin, even then, we come alone and we go alone. If one does not know how to be by himself or herself, then being together can be a lot of nuisance. We are referred to as human beings. Human beings means every other creature is what it is simply because of what it does. But a human being can simply be, which is a unique quality of the human being, that we can simply be, that we are not compulsive action, that's what it means. Our action is conscious and judicious. But generally, when people get together, generally, people are in compulsive action. It can be an association where there could be a purposeful action, or it can be a gang where there can be more purposeful action, or it can be a crowd which can be a compulsive action. So essentially, to be human means we have reached that point of evolution within ourselves that if we wish, we can simply sit here, just be. We can consider as to what action to take and what not to take. This is definitely individual. When individuals come together, we say, it's we in plural, but still it is individuals who have to come together. To be an individual means you are not further divisible. That means you're just one. People find different ways to divide themselves within themselves. In India, with 10,000 years of cultural history, we have invented various words to divide ourselves. It's very common for people to talk in terms of Atma, Paramatma, Ahankara, this one and that one. But every culture has this in their own way. When things are going right, when good things are being done, if you ask people, they say, yes, I did it. When things don't go right, when things go wrong, then they will try to find somebody. If they don't find anybody, he is always there. When they are very wonderful, of course they take pride in being how wonderful they are. When they turn nasty, they say, it was my ego. Mr. Ego is always a fall guy. So individual means, but if I'm wonderful, it's me. If I'm nasty, it's me, all of you. Are you 24 hours wonderful? Hello? Are you 24 hours wonderful? No, sometimes wonderful, sometimes nasty, sometimes beautiful, sometimes ugly. It's okay. If we understand, it is me who is capable of being absolutely wonderful and it is me who is capable of being absolutely nasty another moment, then gradually the number of moments of nastiness will keep on receding. If I see what is wonderful is me, what is nasty is… In India we have many words, it's my karma, what can I do? Now, you must fix this. Being an individual is very important, that means you're not further divisible. If I'm wonderful, it's me, if I'm nasty, it's me. If I succeed, it's me, if I fail, it's me. You have to fix this. I'm just asking you a simple question. Within this, how many people? Hello? How many people within you? 1, 2? Only one. If you're one, you're a normal human being. If you're more than one, you're either schizophrenic or you're possessed. You either need a psychiatrist or an exorcist. But you will see whenever things don't go right, another guy will pop up from somewhere. So, becoming an individual means you killed all those pop-ups and just said, this is me. This what is me has many dimensions. If I don't see this as an individual, I cannot divide this further, then transformation will not happen. If transformation does not happen, if people come together in that state, there will be more mess than solutions. All creatures hang out together. Whether it is various wild creatures, most of them hang out together. Even monkeys, who are just one step behind us, they are also in bunches. It is only human being who can sit alone and transform himself or herself, because this is the prerogative of being human, that we can simply be. This is why you are called human being, you are capable of being. You are not in a compulsive state of activity. If you want, consciously you can evolve. In this evening you can evolve, if you're willing. It doesn't take 1,000,000 years, because our evolution is not biological anymore, our evolution is conscious. For every other creature, it is fixed. Nature has fixed 2 lines within which every other creature lives and goes. But once you have come as a human being, there is only bottom line, there is no top line. There is no limit as to how a human being can become. So before we associate ourselves with people, it'll be good every day in the morning or a certain period of your life, if one withdraws to spend a little time with oneself and see how, in what ways can this be little better than the way it was yesterday? This life, how it can be a little better life than what it was yesterday, because most people are coming together for their needs. To fulfill needs, people come together. Some people come together to fulfill a purpose or a cause. Some people come together to eat, drink and be together because they cannot be alone. This is something that every human being must do. A certain period of time, you do one thing, just 24 hours, take a break from everything, not today, right now you're among people. You take a break sometime, just 24 hours. And don't read, don't watch television, don't use the phone. Simply sit in your room, alert, not sleeping. And if you watch the nature of your mind, you yourself will certify, this is a madman. Because for most people, their mind cannot stay on any one thing. Unless they're in activity, simply they cannot be here. In compulsive state of psychological activity is on. When you are like this, you cannot be. That means you cannot be a human being. Being has to happen. Only then togetherness will be very rich. If you know how to be by yourself, then coming together will be hugely rewarding and of tremendous value. That means we came together consciously.
If we want to live well, both externally and internally, how well we live here simply depends on how well we manage our surroundings and how well we manage ourselves. Fundamentally, life is management. If you don't know how to maintain your body, your mind, your emotion, your situations, your life in general, your home, your communities, nations and the world, the quality of our life is just how well we manage things with ourselves. But generally, we are thinking of management. We are applying ourselves to management only in terms of business management or industry management or… Generally, we are talking management only with economic situations, not life as a whole. In many ways, it's unfortunate that today the most predominant factor that rules the planet has become economics. The other aspects of life have been totally pushed to the corner. When economics rules, when economics is the only thing that we are thinking about, we will tend to become very gross and unhappy in so many ways. What I see is, we are conducting various levels of programs to very top-level executives in some big corporations in the world, major corporations in the world. What I see is, people who have failed in their lives, they're suffering their failure. People who have succeeded in their life, they're suffering their success. If you suffer your failure, it's okay, because failure comes easy. If you suffer your success, that is tragedy, because success doesn't come easy. So, something that you worked for, something that you always longed for, something that you wanted to create in your life, when it happens, if you start suffering that, that's the real tragedy of life. But a large number of successful people on the planet are suffering their success. When I say suffering their success, if you look at people, look at yourself and see, you're still young people, most of you. When you're 5 years of age, how happy you were, and today how happy you are. If we make a chart out of it, a graph out of it, is it moving upward or downward? In 24 hours' time, how many moments are you really happy? If you look at this, is it going up or down? Is it going up or down? Down. So that means you're a bad manager. Because after all, everything that you did in your life is in pursuit of happiness, isn't it? All that you're doing in your life, you're doing it because you believe that is your happiness. You educate yourself, you pursue careers, you build families, you run after your ambitions. So many things you do because somewhere you believe fulfilling those things will bring you happiness. After doing all that, if happiness is not multiplying, it is going down, that means you are a bad manager of yourself. Anybody who does not know how to manage his own body, his own mind, his own emotion and his energies, if he is managing outside situations, he is only managing them by accident, not by intent, the way he wants it. Because if you do not know how to manage your mind, how to manage your energies, how to manage your interiority, managing the outside is bound to be accidental. When you manage situations by accident, you exist as an accident. When you exist as an accident, you are a potential calamity. When you exist as a potential calamity, being anxious all the time becomes a natural part of life. Anywhere you go today, people are talking stress management. Especially a few years ago when I first went to United States, wherever I go, people were talking stress management. I could not understand why anybody wants to manage his stress.
I can understand you want to manage your business, your finance, your family, your property, whatever, but why would you want to manage stress? It took me a while to understand these people have come to the conclusion that there is no other way to live. Somehow people have come to the conclusion that if you do things in the world, you're bound to be stressful. One is not stressful because of what they're doing. One is stressful because he's a bad manager of himself. He doesn't know how to manage his own systems. That is why he's stressful. It is not the nature of the job which makes one stressful. You ask a chaparasi, he is also stressful. You ask the top executive, he is also stressful. Everybody believes their job is stressful. No job is stressful. If you have no control over your own systems, you will be stressful. Whether you do something or you don't do anything, isn't it so? See, management means… fundamentally, management means we want to decide the course of our destiny. That's management, isn't it? We don't want to live here by accident. We want to take our lives where we want to go. That's management, isn't it so? If you're managing by accident, you are not a manager. Without you, things will run better. So once you say, I'm a manager, that means somewhere you have decided that you want to go in a particular way. You want to have a certain kind of situation, both inward and outward. So everybody is a manager in his own capacity, but in different levels and different types. Whether you manage a kitchen where you cook for 4 people, or you manage a large industry where 10,000 people work, fundamentally, if you want to have a good kitchen or a good industry, you must be a good manager of that situation, isn't it? So whether you're managing a little kitchen or a large industry, if you want to manage outside situations, generally you will have to manage material and people around you. If you have to manage 10 people or 10,000 people around you, you have to manage 10 minds or 10,000 minds around you. But if you have no management over your own mind, you managing 10,000 minds is going to be a disaster. In the process of doing something, if we are destroying human beings, which is happening right now, in the process of managing a situation, the man is broken, then this kind of management is no good, because after all, every management that we do is only for human well-being. If we are doing management for human well-being, in the process of doing something, in the process of managing situations, it is not only about producing something or making profit. Human beings should rise to their full potential. If we manage a situation properly, in simple process of working, you and the people who are working with you should be able to raise to their full potential. When I say rising to full potential, not just work potential, but as human beings, they must be able to rise to their full potential. If people work together, then people should be able to rise to the peak of their love, peace, compassion within themselves. If this doesn't happen, then it's bad management, because all management, the basic intent is human well-being. If that is not happening, you're just producing something, you're making little profit, but human beings are getting broken in the process, it doesn't mean anything. So if this kind of management has to happen, that just in managing a business, you find people around you raise to their peak, then you have to spend a certain amount of time in focusing on your inner management. If this doesn't happen, you will only manage situations by accident. A lot of people have understood management as a way of throwing their weight around. Can I tell you a joke? Are you okay? On a certain day, a lion was really feeling great within himself. He just was walking and a little rabbit was going, he caught him and roared at him, "Who is the king of the jungle?" The little rabbit, terrified, said, you, of course you. He let him go, swaggered around a little bit. Then he found a fox, caught him. Who is the king of the jungle? Oh my lord, it's you, of course, nobody else but you. Then he swaggered around a little bit, caught a few more animals, everybody screamed out of fear, you are the king of the jungle. Then he was in full swagger, like a manager. King of the jungle Walked into a clearing in the jungle, there was a huge tusker standing. He went, stood in front of him and asked, who is the king of the jungle? The tusker took his trunk, rolled him up, picked him up, twirled him around, smashed him to the ground. His back broke. Then the lion said, you could have just told me. But the tusker said, you see, I had to make my point. So, lot of people generally are thinking management means just throwing their weight around. Throwing your weight around is not management, any fool can do that. If you manage a situation, not just things happening there, people should feel elevated, just being in that space. Otherwise, it is not management. Above all, if you go to a place and you manage a situation, you must feel wonderful being there. If that doesn't happen, you are not a good manager. So if this has to happen, you need an inner dimension. When I say inner dimension, what is inner dimension? When I say inner, I'm not just talking about the body or the mind, because both this body and mind you gathered from outside in certain ways, isn't it? For example, this physical body, when you were a child, this body was only this much. Now it's become this much. How did this happen? How did this happen? That's a question. How did this happen? You grew up, how did it happen, I'm asking? Sorry? How did it happen? How did all this body happen? Food that you ate, isn't it? What you call as my body is actually a heap of food that you gathered. What you call as food is just a piece of earth that you convert it into food and make it into body, isn't it? So this body is just a heap of food that you gathered over a period of time. What you call as my mind is a heap of impressions that you gathered from outside. Now you have a heap of food and a heap of impressions. If this much gathering has to happen, something more than this must exist, isn't it? If you are capable of gathering such a large body and so much mind, there must be something more fundamental than this. But that never comes into your experience. You're just lost in these two heaps, trying to make some sense out of it. Now, as there is a science, as there is a management science for external well-being, there is a management for science for inner well-being. It is just that most of the time we have not approached it scientifically, we're just believing by doing something somehow everything will be okay. Right now, people are thinking by educating themselves they will live happily ever after, which you will discover after some time it's not so. By getting a job, they think they're going to be happy ever after, which you will discover it is not so. By making money, you think you're going to be happy ever after, you will discover it is not so. Somebody thinks by getting married they're going to be ever after, and they know it is not so. So, you're trying to somehow fool yourself into believing that by doing something everything will be okay. Though repeatedly it has let you down, still you believe that something else, some other miracle will make everything okay. It'll not be okay. It once happened. On a certain day, a bull and a pheasant were grazing on the field. You know a bull? A pheasant, a bird. The bull was grazing on the grass, the pheasant was picking ticks off the bull, they're partners, Then the pheasant looked at a huge tree which was at the edge of the field and very nostalgically said, "Alas, there was a time when I could fly to the topmost branch of the tree, but today I do not have the strength even to fly to the first branch of the tree." The bull very nonchalantly said, "That's no problem. Eat a little bit of my dung every day. You will see, within a fortnight's time you will reach the top of the tree." The pheasant said, "Oh, come off it. How is that possible?" The bull said, "Really, please try and see. The whole humanity is on it. You could try too." Very hesitantly, the pheasant started pecking at the dung, and lo, on the very first day it reached the first branch of the tree. In a fortnight's time, it reached the topmost branch of the tree. It just went and sat in the topmost branch and just looking at the scenery, enjoying it. The old farmer saw a fat old pheasant on the top of the tree. He took out his shotgun and shot him off the tree. So the moral of the story is, even bullshit can get you to the top, but never lets you stay there. So, if you are seeking a life of fulfillment, if you are seeking a life of joy and peace and well-being within yourself, don't try to bull yourself in some way. You must do the right thing, otherwise it won't work. Now that you are managers or to be managers, probably, definitely I hope they have taught you that unless you do the right thing, it doesn't work with outside. The same goes with the inside, unless you do the right thing, it just doesn't work. You may just bull yourself to believe that this will make me all right, that will make me all right. Yes, for a moment, but the next moment you crash. Please see, successful people, unsuccessful people, just look at their lives and see in 24 hours, how many moments are they really joyful? How many? You go on the street and see how many joyful faces do you see on the street? Very, very few, isn't it so? Yes? If you see any, usually they are young faces. Over 30 faces are all long faces. What's happened to them? For most of them, their lives have worked out far better than they ever imagined. If you look at yourself as a generation, never before another generation of people have been this comfortable and this well physically as you are right now, isn't it? Isn't it so? We are the most comfortable generation. No other generation has known these kind of comforts and conveniences. But still, are we any happier than what people were? This is simply because we did not do inner management. We just did external management, no inner management. In the process of creating what we want, the very source of our life, this planet, we're just destroying, isn't it? In pursuit of our happiness, we are just making a bonfire out of this planet, but still we are not satisfied, nor are we any more joyful than what we were 500 years ago as people were, isn't it? So somewhere we have neglected the interiority. So to turn inward, what is needed? One reason why most young people here have never made any effort to turn inward is because today, any thinking person, the moment he can read ABC, speak English and he has extra alphabets next to his name, he develops an allergy towards anything spiritual. This is not your fault. These so-called spiritual people have made such jokers out of themselves. They have presented spirituality in such terrible ways, ridiculous ways, that anybody who has any sense doesn't want to go anywhere near it.
See, a spirituality means to know something which is beyond the physical. Right now, if you exist as a physical entity, as a body, as a mind, because both these things are accumulations from outside, whatever happens outside will happen inside. If what happens outside begins to happen within you all the time, then you being peaceful and happy is always accidental. Because it doesn't matter who you are, how powerful you are, how great a manager you are, external situations will never be 100% in your control. That's the nature of the life. Even if you're just two people in the family, still you don't have absolute control over the situation, isn't it so? As the scope and play of your life increases, you have less and less control over the situations in which you live. That's the reality of life. So if whatever is happening outside is happening within you, you being peaceful and happy in your life is a faraway thing, it's never going to happen. Only when a person begins to experience a dimension beyond the physical within himself, then he can play with the physical world whichever way he wants. He can do the best that he can do with the outside world, but the interiority is undisturbed, always the way you want it. The outside world will not happen the way we want it 100%. At least the inner world should happen the way we want it, isn't it so? Isn't it so? The outside will never happen 100% the way we want it. That's the reality of life. But at least this one should happen the way we want it. If this is also not happening the way you want it, if your body, if your mind, if your emotions, if your energies are not functioning the way you want it, then this is the worst kind of slavery, because somebody else decides what should happen within you. If somebody else decides what should happen around you, that itself you call it slavery, isn't it so? Yes? Are we in talking terms or no? Oh, that's fine. If somebody decides what should happen around you, that itself you call as slavery. But if someone decides what should happen within you, is it not a more horrible way of being a slave? But please see, the whole world is in it. The only consolation is everybody is like this. Now that you're learning management as a science, I would like you to understand there is a whole science of inner management. If you don't learn that, you may manage businesses, you may manage industry, but still you will not live a life of fulfillment and well-being. If you want to live a life of fulfillment and well-being and offer the same to people around you, it's extremely important you know what it means to manage your interiority. I really don't know how you feel today going out of probably the last step of your education, or at least one step of your education, a major step of your education. Because when I studied in the university, I did not go to my convocation. Somewhere, right from my childhood. Are you okay for a story? Right from my childhood, the education that I received, though they sent me to the best possible schools around, it didn't mean anything to me. Because my sense of listening and looking at people was such. When the teachers were talking whatever, chemistry, biology or mathematics, One thing I could clearly see was whatever they were saying didn't mean a damn thing to them. And I was not willing to listen to anything from somebody who is talking something which doesn't mean anything to him. So, I always looked at the teacher. If he put his heart into it, I'm willing to be there. Otherwise, I'm out. Because somewhere I have so many things on my agenda for the day. 24 hours are packed with too many things. I'm not willing to spend an hour or even 5 minutes listening to someone who is talking something which doesn't mean anything to him. Even if he's talking nonsense, it doesn't matter. If it means something to him, I'm willing to listen to it. But if he's talking great things which don't mean anything to him, I'm not willing to listen to him. So as a part of this, I spent… Your education is over, so I can talk. I spent almost 90% of my college hours outside, only 10% inside. Only when I saw somebody who is talking something with passion, I'm there. Otherwise, I'm just out. Now, this education, I'm repeatedly telling Dr. Majumdar and a few other people around here, I'm happy to see somebody's talking with some passion about what they're doing. Somebody, it doesn't matter what they're doing is right, wrong, okay, perfect or not, but someone has put his heart into it, it's okay, because human lives becomes beautiful not because we do the right things. Human lives become beautiful because we put our heart into what we're doing. It doesn't matter what we're doing, whether we're sweeping the floor or managing the country or what we're doing, if we are putting our heart into what we're doing, it's beautiful to be doing that activity. So I think it's a fortune that I've just seen a few people, I hope everybody here is putting their hearts into what they're doing and living in an atmosphere where people are passionate about what they're doing itself is highly enriching. Now that you're stepping into the world, not that you don't know, but anyway, now you're stepping into the world in a different dimension than the way you have been till now. Once you step into the world, there's going to be a lot of filth. There is corruption, there is nonsense, there is so many things happening everywhere. There are some set of people, a certain set of people, who will develop an allergy for this filth. They can't stand it. They usually run to the Himalayas. Because they're allergic to filth, they can't take it. They want everything pure, but such a thing will not happen because the filth of the world has one way or the other has entered our minds. Whether we empower that filth or not is all the option that we have. But we cannot avoid filth, it is there. All the nonsense that can happen in the world, you know in your head, isn't it? So one set of people develop allergy and try to run away, which they can never do, really. Another set of people, a large segment of people, unfortunately, have come to their own kind of philosophies. Anyway, world is full of filth, let me also become filth. So they have joined that, they have merged into the filth. What we call as filth can also be great manure, Indian spirituality has always used lotus as a symbolism. A lotus flower has always been the main symbolism for Indian spirituality. Why a lotus flower is? A lotus flower grows best where the filth is thick. This filth which is stinking, which you can't bear, has transformed itself into a fragrant, beautiful flower. This option also is with us every moment of our life. If the atmospheres that we live in make us… we cannot call ourselves managers. If we make the atmospheres that we live in, only then we can call ourselves managers. Being a manager means that we are going to create whatever we see as the most beautiful thing to happen right now. Allowing situations to create you is not management at all. Creating the situations that we want is management. As many of them have said many things, this process of education, there is a certain acceleration now that education is over, you're stepping into your new dimension of life, the excitement and, it's always beautiful to step into something new that you believe is going to be wonderful. But what we have seen with life with most people is, now let's say somebody got a job, the first day when they went and sat behind this table was the most fantastic place in the world. But within a few years, behind the same table, they're manufacturing blood pressure, diabetes, ulcers and whatnot. This is not because there is something wrong with the jobs that we do. This is not because there is something wrong with the world that we live in. It is simply because we have not paid sufficient attention to ourselves. We have paid too much attention to what is outside. To succeed in the world, people are always thinking, great aspirations will make you successful. Aspiration is just an initial starting point. Just because you aspire for success, just because you aspire for prosperity, just because you aspire for well-being, it doesn't happen. Success, prosperity, well-being happens because you have made yourself capable of creating those things. Everybody aspires. Who is not aspiring for success in the world? Everybody is aspiring. Even a beggar on the street is trying to be a successful beggar, isn't it so? Every human being is aspiring for it, but only those who have made themselves capable will succeed. Making yourself capable not only in terms of management skills and other things, but that is needed too, but making yourself capable as a human being to go through situations untouched, to be like a lotus flower, even if you're in the filthiest of situations, to maintain your beauty and fragrance. If one has this, he will float through this life untouched. If one doesn't have it, life will eat him up in so many ways. It's my wish and my blessing that this new set of managers will manage this world, this country, this community and the business and commerce, which is part of our existence today in the world, in a much better way than the previous generations of people have done, because externally we are better equipped than ever before. If we make a little effort, it's a fortune that an institution has made an effort to equip you internally to whatever extent it was possible for them. If you equip yourself for internal management also, I'm sure that this group of people and many more who will pass out of this institution should definitely manage this world, this nation and the communities much, much better than the way it's been done till now. When it comes to management, there's no such thing as perfect management. It is just that If people give themselves absolutely to what they're doing, this will happen. Right now, the Isha Foundation, Dr. Karthikeyan, after seeing what's happening there, that's how he's been into this. It is run by all young people, the whole foundation. We have hundreds of centers in India and outside the country. Everything is managed by very young people. People who have been with us for 14, 15 years, they are just in their early 30s now. Very, very young people. No senior people, no experienced people, just young people, raw hands. I took this as a challenge to make it happen through them, not using any kind of experience. I am not against experience, I am not against that, but I wanted to make a statement that incredible things can be done, not because we know how to do it. Incredible things can be done simply because we are committed that we want it to happen, that's all. Today, this has grown into a voluntary organization with over 200,000 active volunteers around the world. And we have taken enormous projects of social significance. All these things are handled by volunteers. They're not paid for it, they spend from their own pockets and do things. And you need to understand, managing these people, managing volunteers is much more difficult than managing paid employees because you can't fire them. You can never fire them for inefficiency or indiscipline or whatever, because they're there on a voluntary basis. So, people who manage these situations, very young people without any qualifications, they are such fantastic managers of people. The way they manage the situations, the way they conduct thousands of people has set such a exemplary example in the community there. I would take this opportunity someday that when it's possible you visit Isha Yoga Center as to how things are managed so simply, because management doesn't come… I know you need to learn about finance, this, that, banking and those kind of things, but fundamentally management is your ability to be capable of inspiring people to do their best. And that's all we can do. If everybody around us are doing their best, that's the best possible management that can happen. So this is not going to come with manipulation, this is only going to come with dedication, this is only going to come with love, this is only going to come because you are willing to give yourself 100% to the person who is next to you at that moment. Oh, is all this possible? Is it not all utopian? You think this is the reality in the corporate sector? I'm telling you, we are working in the prisons, we are working in rural areas, we are working with major corporations in the world. It doesn't matter what kind of person you meet. If you just learn to touch the core of his humanity, then you see every human being is willing to do his best for you, always. If you just learn how to touch the very core of a human being who is around you right now, you will see everybody is willing to lay their lives down for you. Only if people around you love you and they want to do the best for you, you will not get ulcers doing management. If people around you are trying to pull you down, you will anyway get ulcers trying to manage situations. Isn't it so? If you do not create the people who truly love us and wanting to give their best, then management is going to be a pain. Management is going to be a huge suffering. Only when people around us really want to do the best for you, only then management can happen wonderfully. It's my wish and my blessing that all of you turn out as truly great managers of yourself and the world around you. Our lives become beautiful not because of what we do. Our lives becomes beautiful simply because we have included everybody around us as a part of our dream of well-being. I hope all of you become truly successful and well in whatever way With inner technologies, if you need any help, we are always available to you. It's been a joy to be here in this institution. I've been to any number of colleges. People are the same, but creating an institution with some sense of commitment for inner well-being in today's world is too happy. Thank you.
So if enlightenment happens, how do we know it has happened? Suppose we are hallucinating to be enlightened. If such a thing happens, it will be clearer than daylight. It's not something that you can miss. It is not that kind of an event that you could miss it. You will not miss it. But when I say this, there is a problem attached to this because these days it is going on in many places. For a certain fee, within a weekend's time you can get enlightened. You'll be declared enlightened by somebody. Really it's happening everywhere. If you just pay a certain amount of money, one weekend you can get enlightened. I remember in the 60s, in the 1960s, in California, people set up certain businesses, enlightenment services. The advertisement I remember very well. If you go to India, it will take 12 years of hardship. Okay. $50, 30 minutes, you can get enlightened. They were just using psychedelic machines. You put up certain visuals and certain sounds, it'll just blow your mind apart. Because of the sounds and the visuals, when you come out, you come in a daze. You feel like you have really gotten somewhere. This used to be the advertisement. $50, 30 minutes. If you go to India, 12 years of hardship. Here, it's California, quick, new technology. These 1960 machines, this old technology has now infiltrated into India. Some people have installed these machines and they're claiming within a weekend they can enlighten you. You cannot hallucinate about it. If you're sincere, you would know that it is not so. But if it's a part of the race that you want to get enlightened before somebody, of course you can declare, I'm enlightened. It is just that these kind of deceptions are not new on the planet. They've been happening for a long time. But now modern technology has come to aid them better, to give them an expanded sense of many things. Much experimentation was done during the 60s and 70s about these things. One is with the psychedelic machines, another is with psychedelic drugs. You take an LSD and people claim they're enlightened because they had an expanded sense. Just for a while, and then they came back. If they overdid it, then they lost everything, they cracked up in so many ways or even died. Many people mentally cracked up because of excessive use of psychedelic drugs. But for those few moments, they really felt enlightened, or at least they thought so. This is not something that you do. This is not something that you can do. It is just that if you cultivate the system, your body, mind, emotion and energy to its peak possibility, then an absolutely wonderful flower blossoms within you. Not something that you did, you just waited with the right kind of conditions and it happened. There's a very beautiful story in the yogic law. On a certain day, 4 men were walking in the forest. These 4 men were walking in the forest. One is a Gnana yogi, another is a Bhakti yogi, another is a Karma yogi, and the last one is a Kriya yogi. These 4 people can never stay together. They cannot be together. Because a Gnana yogi means yoga of intelligence. He is a man of intellect, great intellect. He has complete disdain for everybody. He thinks everybody is a fool. Especially these bhakti yogis who are doing Ram Ram or whatever, in his mind they look like utter idiots. He can't stand them. Isn't it? Do you think? Could that man stand bhakti yogis? No, he wouldn't stand. He just can't tolerate them. Bhakti yogis, people of devotion, they have pity for everybody. Because when God Himself is here, you're doing all this mental circus and physical circus. It's just stupid, isn't it? Just hold God's hand and walk into heaven. So bhakti yogis have pity for everybody, for all the foolishness that they're doing. Karma yogis think all these other people are just lazy people. Because if you want something to happen, you have to do it. Because they're lazy and unwilling to do what they need to do, they have invented all these other yogas. Because in the world, if anything has to happen, you must do it, right? Action. These are yoga of action, karma. Kriya yogis have utter disdain for everybody because after all, the whole existence is energy. Unless you transform the energy, how will anything change? Where is the possibility? So, these 4 people can never be together, but today they were walking together. Suddenly a thunderstorm broke loose, a rainstorm, rain started lashing from every side. They started running, looking for shelter. The bhakti yogi said, "There is an ancient temple in this direction, let's go there for shelter." He always knows the geography of temples. He won't miss a single temple. So they all trusted him and ran in the direction. Then they found an ancient temple where the walls had collapsed long ago. Just a few columns and a roof was there. And in the center, there was a deity, God's image. They ran into this place, not because they were seeking God, not in any kind of love for God, just to escape the rain. They ran in. And then they stood there for a while. Then they found the rain started lashing from every direction. Wherever they stood or sat, the rain was getting at them. So the only place where they could sit was around the deity. So all 4 of them just hugged the deity and sat. Not because they have fallen in love with God, simply to escape the rain. Suddenly, God appeared. In all their 4 minds, the same question, why now? We did so much yoga, we did so much puja, worship and so many things. You didn't come then. Now when we're just escaping the rain, why now? And God said, at last you 4 idiots got together. Without these four things getting together within you, your head, your heart, your hands and your energy, unless it all falls into place, unless all of it reaches its peak, it will not happen. And if it happens, is there any chance that I may not notice it? There is no such thing. Even if you're blind, you know the sun has come up, isn't it? Yes?
Yes.
Even if you're blind, you still know the sun has come up because nobody can miss it. It is not a small event that anybody can miss. You may not know whether you're born or not born, but if you get enlightened, you will know. It's much bigger than that. Birth will happen many times. This will happen only once.
There are times in life when I'm just doing excellent, doing to my fullest. But then suddenly a feeling creeps in which tells me that your downfall is near. It bothers me. And
Maybe you're just landing.
yes, and with this feeling getting into the system, my performance actually starts to deteriorate. So Sadhguru, how do we fight these inner monstrous voices?
How many monsters do you have? Within you. I thought there's only one monster, that's you. This we must be very clear. See, if you are hearing two voices within you, an angelic voice and a monstrous voice, this doesn't mean something fantastic has happened. This means you're either schizophrenic or you're possessed. Yes. You either need a psychiatrist or an exorcist. So, this is very important. This people are doing in the name of religion, in the name of spirituality, in the name of so-called modern solutions to everything. In many ways, this is finding expression. In India, we have a huge vocabulary for these things. If you say anything to anybody, oh, this is my ahankara, this is my ego doing this is my soul, this is my this is my that. Well, if so many people are speaking from within you, if so many people are stuck in this one body, this is a ailment, isn't it? Hello? If there is more than one in this body, is this an ailment or no? Only one. This body is designed for one, isn't it? This is the most fundamental thing you must do. There's just you and you and you in this. There is no another. The moment there is another, this is a trick. Initially you play this trick. When something happens well, of course it's me. When something didn't happen, I don't know, some other voice, somebody else, my ego, my… all kinds of other creatures which don't exist you manufacture in your mind. You can call it Atman, Paramatman, God speaks within you, devil speaks within you. See, whenever people said, God spoke to me, disasters unfolded. Yes, have you seen this? The President of the United States at one time, about 15 years ago or 18 years ago, said, God told me, oh, what a disaster, 600,000 people died and a whole nation destroyed. That is the kind of things always happen when God spoke. Because I want you to understand, it's not about God speaking. When you want to say something absolutely illogical and unreasonable, you bring the God and the devil. So, if there is more than one voice, you have to kill the other voices. For this, you must understand, there is a complexity to human mind. So the complexity of who we are is the greatest gift we have. Isn't it so? There is a cerebral complexity, which is what makes us who we are. This is the greatest gift. But this is what every human being is suffering. I'm asking all of you, when was the last time you were stabbed by a dagger? Hello? They're really ignoring you, okay? Maybe the biggest thing that happened to you is a mosquito bit you. That is the level of suffering that the world is inflicting upon you. Rest of the suffering is all on self-help, isn't it? So why are you suffering like this? Because… I'll ask you a simple question, tell me yes or no. Because I'm also going to bless you according to your question. Do you want your intellect to be sharp or blunt? Okay. What department are these guys? Oh. Is it political science? Is it one of the disciplines, sir? Is it one of the disciplines in the… No. Then how? There's infiltration in your college. So, you naturally want your intellect to be sharp. That means intellect is a cutting instrument. It's like a knife. The sharper it is, the better it is, isn't it? So right now, after millions of years of evolution, we gave you an intellect. We means I'm on the side of nature, okay? We gave you a sharp mind. Now you're cutting yourself all over the place and you're complaining about it. No, when something is sharp given to you, you must learn how to hold it, isn't it? You have to learn how to handle it. If you hold it at the wrong end or if you move irresponsibly, you will cut yourself. Right now, these are all individual expressions of someday I feel like this, someday I feel like this. Human beings essentially are going through a whole lot of suffering. Somebody is in the war zone, somebody is in a famine zone. I will leave those human beings because that's a different scene. But the rest of the people are all suffering only one thing, their own intelligence. If you took half their brain away, they would sit peacefully. Yes or no? No demons, no gods, no voices, peaceful. Yes or no? So we are complaining about the greatest gift that we have. The only reason why compared to all other creatures we are dominating here is because of our cerebral capability, isn't it? Because of the sharpness of our mind, we are able to just about do anything. And this has become the problem. So this has become the problem because we gave you a very complex machine and you not bother to read the user's manual and you're trying to handle it blindly. Now all kinds of things will speak. Your own intellect has taken over your life and destroyed you, make you suffer for nothing. If I leave you alone in a room, all by yourself, if you're capable of being miserable, this means you're in bad company. Hello? If I'm with you and you suffer, maybe it's me. But you're sitting alone and suffering, this means you're in bad company, isn't it? You have to fix that one thing, that this one is never bad company. It's the best company you have. For this, there is a simple treatment. The simple treatment is just this. You start seeing this much. Whatever happens to me in life, good things happen, ugly things happen, nonsense happens, great things happens, doesn't matter, whatever happens,
And whatever did not happen in life, it's all my responsibility. Now, there'll be only one person. If you see this is my responsibility, there'll be only one person. Otherwise, God will speak here, devil will speak there, Atma will speak from here, Paramatman will speak from somewhere else and they'll drive you crazy.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to not miss any new content and invite your friends to join us on this learning adventure.